Just from doing something over and over, you just know what comes next or like what could happen.
It's August 12th, 2018, and it's Grand Finals at Super Smash Con 2018. Armada is supposed to be here. Even this deep into his Melee career, he is still Mr. Consistency. You could count the majors where he missed Grand Finals over the past 2 years on one hand. There were some players who had shown they could compete with him for the title of best in the world, chief among them the world's new #1 player, Hungrybox, but Armada had earned the honor of sitting in Grand Finals here because he had just sent Hungrybox down to losers with the swift 3-0 in Winners Finals, an 11-minute stomping that was one of the few sets in this matchup's long history that could be called a speedrun. And then, there was this guy, the reason Hungrybox wouldn't be returning to Grands for the run back. This set would mark the 32nd time these two gods of Melee had matched up in a major tournament. I couldn't blame anybody who, seeing this matchup ending a long night of Smash, said, "I've seen this show before, I don't need to watch this one." But those people missed out on not just the greatest set of the rivalry between Armada and Mew2King, but the end of an era. And today, I'll argue, one of the greatest sets of all time.
When I came to America, I felt like I'm around the same level as the top of the top.
So part of that whole Five Gods thing is that it comes with an implication of immortality. Sure, we all knew that nothing can last forever, but can you blame us? These made it impossible to imagine an era without them playing Melee and winning everything. Mew2King was pushing 30 at SmashCon and had been playing Melee professionally, or as close as we had it, for over a decade by this point. But despite that, people didn't really think these days would ever come to an end. It didn't hurt that Mew2King and Armada were basically the death and taxes of Melee. For Armada, it goes without saying. Between SSBM rank and Retro SSBM rank, he was #1 in the world for 5 years, and at no point was he ever ranked lower than 4th. And even while putting time into every other Smash title he could, Mew2King stayed ranked between 3rd and 6th in every single Melee ranking between 2013 and 2018, including the mid-year summer rankings. By the time SmashCon 2018 had rolled around, Mew2King was still a great player, but the years in which he had a true claim to #1 in the world were clearly behind him. Nobody was more responsible for that than Armada. Prior to 2018, the set count between Armada and Mew2King stood at 23-3 in favor of the Swede. But even that statistic doesn't fully capture Armada's dominance in their series. It took 4 sets before Mew2King was finally able to get 1 at Skatar 3 in 2014. And then it would take nearly 2 years before Mew2King would finally get another one against Armada, a winner's semis victory at Smash Summit 2. But Mew2King completely lost his faith in the Mart that 3-0'd Armada in winners, and his Sheik and Fox were 3-0'd in losers finals, starting up yet another huge winning streak for Armada. This time, it only took 8 months, but once again, Mew2King's winning streak didn't even last a whole day. He got Armada in winners at the UGC Smash Open 3-1, and this time he stuck with the character that got him there, playing Marth in the runback. And he lost, yet again, falling 3-1. He wouldn't win again for another year. As for the Armada M2K set history prior to 2018, as about one-sided as the set count had been, the actual sets had been competitive. Only 6 of those 23 pre-2018 losses had been shutouts for Mew2King. 17 times he took at least one game, and 6 losses came down to a decisive game. Armada was not so far beyond Mew2King to extinguish hope. But if anything, that just made Armada's 88% win rate against Mew2King feel that much worse. The game count in those 26 sets was 68-33 in Armada's favor, a 67% game win rate. Statistically, it's pretty unlikely that sets this competitive wouldn't tip Mew2King's way at least a few more times, but for whatever reason, Armada's clutch factor, his adaptations, or simply the way whole games can swing on a single frame or pixel, they didn't. And the few times Mew2King figured out Armada for a full set, Armada would figure him out right back, right away. That's the history that led to one of Melee's most legendary pop-offs.
No, I was just like, wait, that doesn't happen. I always don't win.
Genuinely though, can you blame him? How else must it have felt to snap year-long winning streaks only for the guy you beat to act like nothing even happened right away? Consider too that Mew2King had only brief windows to take his shots at Armada. The Swede would visit America for a few months at a time and then head back home. I presented these sets as if they happened one after another, but it was really more like this. Not only would Mew2King's victories be short-lived, he'd also have to sit with them for months until he'd get another shot. Why wouldn't he feel like it was only a matter of time until reality would set in again? He actually doesn't win. But then he won, and the story of Mew2King versus Armada finally looked like it was changing. By the time they met at SmashCon, Armada had started yet another streak, winning 3-1 at Smash and Splash 4 and 2-1 at EVO. But Summit had proven that Mew2King really could do it. Twice, if he had to.
I think all competitors are nervous at one point or another, but for the most part, I felt like when you had a lot of achievements you had already gotten, it was more about trying to set up new goals along the way.
Man, honestly, I can be winning these nationals if I just don't suck. I know what I'm capable of.
Be more specific.
I'm capable of so much better than
You can't say just don't suck.
Oh my god. In my mind, that's what it is. If I don't... Okay, what do you mean more specific? I think I can do way better than I've been. In my mind, I suck.
So what does don't suck mean specifically?
I think I can play way better than I have been.
Specifically how?
What are you asking me? Play better! Specifically how?
Yes.
I guess I should use more marksmanship.
Mew2King, especially later in his career, developed into Melee's ultimate counterpicker. After using Marth for most of his winner's run, M2K busted out the Sheik for a 3-1 victory against AMSA and the first 4 games against Pew before winning the Marth Ditto to take Game 5 and the set. Against HBox, he brought out the Fox he hadn't used since HBox sent him to losers earlier that day, and M2K destroyed him. It was a cumulative 5-stock across 3 games. Every single character was working for Mew2King that day, a perfect culmination of all the work he'd put in across all 3 of them. Now in Grand Finals, we were back on Marth, and Mew2King jumped out to an early lead with a JV3 in the first game, but everybody watching knew you couldn't make too much of that. M2K had the momentum of playing through losers on his side, and Armada was on his first game back on Peach after his own 3-0 win over Hungrybox with Fox over an hour ago in Winners Finals. But much like an NBA playoff series doesn't start until somebody wins on the road, does a top-level Melee set really start until somebody's won on the opponent's counterpick. Armada sent us to Dreamland for Game 2, and the test truly began for Mew2King. The Marth kept rolling. He was up 2 stocks, but then Armada flipped the switch. Dreamland is Armada's counterpick of choice for a reason, after all. Floaties become almost impossible to kill on this stage at late percents, as the few stray hits you might actually be able to land on her land harmlessly with these massive blast zones. Everybody assumed this game was over until suddenly, it wasn't.
Right now, Mew2King's just outplaying him everywhere.
Yeah.
Armada has no answer for anything. Even there, like...
Yeah, I doubt we'll see it in set. Oh, yeah.
Damn, he's getting so many tippers.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think we'll see the Fox in set 1, but set 2, it's very possible. If it keeps going like this, keeps going like this, it's definitely possible. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Please. There it is. All right, and now that one looked like it barely killed.
Yeah,
so
he
knows. Let me stop questioning my man, Jason Zimmerman. He knows exactly.
Don't question SmashCon, Jason.
He knows
Zimmerman.
exactly.
Yeah, SmashCon Jason, yeah.
Even though he didn't win, it looked like something changed for Armada at some point in that second game, and he confirmed that with a blazing start to Game 3, capping off the first 2 stocks with a taunt. Maybe that meant Armada really meant business. Maybe, as commentary suggested, this was Armada seeing an opportunity to get into this specific opponent's head. Either way, it had paid off, and Armada at least had a chance to send everybody home after just 1 set. But to do that, he'd have to beat Mew2King on his best counterpick twice. Final Destination was the one venue where Mew2King was at home in this matchup, and quite frankly a lot of matchups, with a 17-10 lifetime game count on the stage as Marth versus Armada's Peach. But Game 4 started out shaky. Armada rolled out of a shield breaker by a hair, and Mew2King panicked in the scramble, throwing out a pretty terrible counter that killed his momentum and cost him his first stock. Armada would run away with it, eventually building a 3-1 stock lead to easily force a Game 5. Prior to Summit, this is where you would have to start wondering, does M2K actually win these? No matter how competitive he had looked against Armada before, Armada would always find a way to come out on top. Was the story really going to be different this time?
Here we go. Can M2K force the set 2, or is Armada about to wrap up Super Smash Con?
Because they both have the potential.
Oh,
is he dead?
no.
One of those
Yeah.
situations. Or Armada can escape.
Yeah, caught him with the spacing. Oh, okay, the setups.
Oh! Wow.
I like that from Mew2King.
Smash Con Jason Zimmerman.
And who is this man?
Who is this guy? I like him. Oh.
No,
No,
Sticks,
wait, not
no.
like this.
He dropped it. He dropped it.
He dropped it. He dropped
He'll
it.
take that.
Oh, okay.
He'll take that. Armada's pulled two stitches,
Two stitches,
bombs.
two bombs. Come on.
Come on.
Must be nice.
That's still a lot of damage, though.
Must
Yeah.
be nice.
Okay.
Oh, but
the
Mew2King there in
grab
total
and-
control.
Oh,
And he gets him! Mew2King with the reset!
We have a reset, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it that this is easily the best SmashCon finals ever.
Perhaps now, more than ever, we believe. Just listen to that room in Chantilly, Virginia that day. They believed. Mew2King entered the reset with what felt like the entire crowd on his side, and Armada didn't give a damn. He stemmed the momentum the same way he's done so many times before, by simply deciding to not get hit. Armada lived to 200% on his first stock. The lead he built wasn't actually that big, but it shut everybody up. Mew2King would make his way back into the game, but Lady RNG just kept smiling on Armada.
He's got the Powerpuff Girls formula, dude.
I can't tell. It
Oh,
is.
yes, we are.
Number 3.
Another one, really?
Oh.
Oh, good thing he didn't hit the ground. Oh, but he still caught him.
Number 3.
Oh, my.
Oh, and she wasn't done.
Chants are coming out for M2K. Everybody wants to see it.
Oh, Mew2King read the crouch
yeah.
cancel.
No, he did everything right.
He knew what was coming, but he could not make it happen.
Yeah, Peach's down smash hitbox is huge,
Oh, and
man.
Mr. Saturn.
Mr. Saturn! Oh, Mr. Saturn!
Why you do me
Mr.
like
this? He was walking up all menacingly.
Yeah.
And
3
Armada just
situations,
picked
2
him
bombs,
up.
a Mr. Saturn.
2 Mr. Saturns, because he
2?
got one on FD, I think.
Beam sword's coming.
Now, Mew2King didn't have the luxury of losing on his counterpick. A loss on Final Destination this time would force him to win not once, but twice on Dreamland, and we saw how hard Armada locked in their last set. The Dreamland record for M2K against Armada was a brutal 5-14 with Marth and 0-5 with his other efforts, 4 losses with Sheik and 1 truly last-ditch effort with Jigglypuff. Armada grabbed the lead and held it steadily for the entire game. Mew2King had a lot of work to do on his last stock. If he wanted a realistic chance to stay in this set, this final stock had to be one of the best he had ever played. The first half was clean. Armada spent almost his whole third stock in the air, trying and failing to land, dealing all of 28%. But this was Armada, and it should surprise nobody that the final stock was much, much harder to take. Eventually, it came down to a scramble.
Oh, the down smash didn't hit.
M2K!
He read it!
No!
Oh, the up B! And Mew2King kills that game!
What an
Oh my
Holy crap.
What was that?
I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yo,
Luckiest up B of his
That was
life.
insanity.
Just then, for a brief moment, Armada was shaken. The always stoic figure regarded as one of the best to ever do it was being picked apart bit by someone so robotic it just might have been crazy enough to work. Game 3 on Dreamland was the grind everybody expected. It took over a minute and a half for a stock to be taken, but things stayed pretty close. Stock leads were short-lived though, and percent leads were rendered irrelevant by Dreamland's ability to preserve stocks. Just like in Game 3 of the first set, Armada was eventually able to build a lead strong enough where Mew2King felt pressured to make a playoff stage. Armada is never stronger than in these situations, and he claimed Game 3 of the reset with a 2-stock after Mew2King pineappled himself. Now it was Mew2King playing with his back against the wall. Clearly, he needed a great first stock to stem the tide.
Mew2King needs a money first stock, I think, just to get his head back in.
Yeah. And it's not looking like that so far at all.
Armada's just being Armada.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah. Mew2King trying to smash the IN, but that's the stock.
Yeah, quick first stock for Armada, and already the momentum heavily in Armada's favor. Already up 2-1 in this deciding set.
Okay, that wasn't it, but momentum is a fickle beast. Mew2King came off the Angel platform and immediately found the stock to even out the game, and after another grind, Armada found the stock lead once again, but only briefly. Mew2King was right on top of him, unwilling to give in to the script the momentum seemed to be writing. Mew2King was taking some uncharacteristic risks in this set, especially when Armada went off stage. A lot of them hadn't worked. He'd either gone too far off stage to the point where he'd SD, or he'd get crossed up during the recovery and Armada would find something like a reversal bear to take command of the edgeguard. There's a reason why normal M2K doesn't go for those plays. But normal M2K also loses to Armada.
Oh my god. Grab the startup of down smash.
Oh, relax.
Be careful.
Yes, and immediate back here. Okay, Mew2King is in the lead. One more stock. And Mew2King can take it to game 5.
Never seen M2K take risks like this in my life.
Give the people game 5.
It's amazing. I love it.
Got it. Potential last stock here of the tournament. Will Armada take it?
Force the game 5 right now. He needs to make it happen.
Money.
Oh, yeah, that could have been one.
Okay.
This is good. He's probably get like 40 more damage off this.
Yeah.
Oh! And he takes it! And he goes to game 5!
And we are seeing the game 5 set 2.
A game 10?
Game 10.
Game 10 here, Super Smash Con 2018.
This one would come down to a Game 10, a more competitive set than anybody in that building could have ever expected. Again, it was back and forth. Armada came out on top of a scrambly first stock and looked to have tons of momentum after he pulled out yet another special turn-up. But M2K managed to find the killing blow with Shield Breaker of all things, to not just even up the match, but neutralize the threat of the projectile. Everybody could feel the nerves throughout that second stock, but you could visibly see them when Mew2King popped off after finding a spot dodge up B to take Armada's second stock as well as the lead. Armada refused to give up much extra credit though, and soon into the third stock, he was back in control. With the Summit 6 win, Mew2King had already proven to everybody that he could perform on this level, that even years after his claim to Melee's throne had passed, he could still show up and be the best in that room on any given weekend. He had proven that not even Armada was unbeatable, that his demon could be slain. There's no world where Mew2King had anything left to prove to anybody who watched Melee. He was and always will be one of the greatest to ever touch the sticks. But Armada? Armada is inevitable.
One more stock for
Mew2King.
He read that?
Oh, yeah, he read the air dodge.
Oh my god.
Now Armada.
Wait a minute.
Hit it back.
Oh, wait a minute. No.
No. What a way to end Super Smash Con 2018. Armada is your Melee champion.
Congratulations to Alliance Armada. Buckling down.
Where the fuck was my confetti last year?
Where was the confetti last year?
I want confetti. Armada, congratulations. You earned this confetti, Armada.
Who wants confetti?
This looks dope, actually.
This looks
sick as hell. Congratulations to Alliance Armada. Taking first place.
Yo, that looks hot.
It looks super OD.
Sick.
It looks so good. Congratulations to Armada. M2K, amazing run. We gotta give it up for this.
That was so hot.
Clap it up for Mew2King, everybody.
Mew2King 2.0.
Wow.
Let's give it up for M2K 2.0. I, for one, love this new M2K. Let's see more of it.
Yeah,
and we'll probably see more 6 sets like that one, but Armada does clutch it out as usual.
That was more how I was trying to like keep myself motivated, finding new tournament series to win, new accomplishments to achieve that may not ever have been done in the history of Smash before, or at least not on the Melee side. So that's a lot of the way I was looking at it.
Limited to strictly what was on the screen, and this is in competition for one of the greatest sets of all time. At the time, these were the two best players to ever touch these characters, players who had spent nearly a decade developing the matchup against each other. There was brilliant strategy, dazzling execution, and absurdly clutch plays. Everything you could ask for from a Melee set. But what makes the most memorable sets will never be just the gameplay. This set would have been memorable no matter what, but the bombshell Armada dropped about a month later ensured it would remain burned into everybody's mind.
I know that the message in this video is not what people want to hear, but it's about time.
Nobody put that shock better than Mew2King himself. And where else would it be than the YouTube comments of that very set? Even if you weren't delusional enough to believe the era of the gods would last forever, there was nothing in that set remotely suggesting its end would be upon us so soon. Armada was serious too, the ultra-rare smasher who made good on a retirement. He hasn't entered a Melee singles tournament since that SmashCon 2018, and even his ultimate career was short-lived, ending with a top 8 at DreamHack Winter 2019. Mew2King hasn't retired per se, but he significantly dialed back his competitive involvement not long after Armada's exit. He would make another Cinderella top 8 run at 2019's The Big House 9, taking out Cody Schwab and Hungrybox on his way to 5th. He wasn't a net play tournament grinder, and he's made a select few appearances since the return to offline play. Is he still an active player? Sure. Technically, but he hasn't qualified for a global ranking in 5 years now. Armada said he had been planning his retirement for about a year before he actually made good on it. It's easy to wonder if he was waiting for a tournament like SmashCon 2018, and specifically a set like that Grand Finals against Mew2King, to finally go out with a bang. And what incredibly terrible timing for Mew2King. After a decade of Armada having his number, Mew2King had finally started to fight back. Armada retired with a 26-7 set advantage on Mew2King. Was Mew2King ever going to make that up? Almost certainly not, but he had won 4 of the last 7 and was just a couple stocks away from making it 5. After a decade, a full career of everything telling him, "I always don't win," he had shown that he could. What would another year of sets with Armada have looked like? Of course, that isn't Armada's responsibility. One of the toughest facts of competition is that once a set is over, there's nothing you can do about it. That result is etched in stone, part of history forever. The best you can do is hope to do better next time, and worse, that next time is never guaranteed. Despite retiring with 4 months left in the season, Armada wound up ranked number 2 in 2018, behind only Hungrybox in the middle of his 3-year reign over the Melee world. Anybody who watched Armada at SmashCon 2018 knows that this was a player with more than enough left in the tank. He had as many good years ahead of him as he wanted, quite frankly, but few people have the clarity to know when enough is enough. Some will say he threw away his claim to the title of GOAT with this decision. I don't know about all that, but regardless, it hasn't ever looked like Armada's had any regrets, and he's the only one that really matters here. A maximum of 1 person, depending on exactly when Armada made his decision to retire, knew that SmashCon 2018's Grand Finals would represent the end of an era. But as far as era enders go, this one's just about impossible to beat. It represents everything about what made these players so great, the rare end of an era that actually captures its subjects at their highest points. We may never be so lucky as to see that ever again, and for that reason, Armada vs Mew2King at Super SmashCon 2018 deserves to be considered the greatest set of all time. Thank you so much for watching this documentary. I hope you enjoyed it, and much gratitude goes to all of my patrons who make videos like these possible, especially Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Erica's Cool, Nick Macaman, and Energy Esports. If you'd like to help support me in making more videos like these, please feel free to contribute through the link in the description. We got 8 more of these, or maybe more if I want to extend this for whatever reason, coming up after this one, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. And I'd really love to hit 100k subscribers this year, so if you could subscribe if you're not already, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.
Thank you.